Sorry for keeping you waiting, but making some last minute slides as usual. Today I will be discussing a very brief introduction on the fifth house. But I won't be speaking on all the aspects of the fifth house, but just one tiny aspect of it. So what I'm going to do is begin with Parasara's definition of what the fifth house stands for. That is a Panchama Bhava, and then hi, is it okay? And then go into the specific aspect that I would be discussing. This is of course in Sanskrit, and I'm not a great Sanskrit scholar, but would be able to make out the main points out here. It says yantra mantro tatha vidyam. Yantra means a yantra, that's a mystical formula. And I suppose all of you are familiar with what a yantra is. Mantra is, which I'm sure all of you know. Vidya is knowledge. Buddhischaiva pravandhakam. Buddhi is intelligence or dhi. So we are talking about yantra, mantra, vidya, that is knowledge, and buddhi, that is intelligence or dhi. Now the whole definition of buddhi has a much higher meaning or a much higher level of interpretation over here, which we will go into subsequently. Buddhischaiva pravandhakam. Pravandham is another name for the fifth house in Sanskrit. Putra rajya apabhramshadim pashyet putra layad buddha. So the second line talks about progeny, about children, about the well-being of the children. So I think most of you are familiar with the fact that when you are looking at children, causes of lack of childbirth, or how many children you are going to have, or if you are going to have them at all or not, are all seen from the fifth house. When you see knowledge, you see it from the fifth house. When you see yantra and mantra, you see it from the fifth house. When you see devotion or adoration, that is bhakti towards a deity, you see it from the fifth house. You see your shishyas from the fifth house. You see the deities whom you wish to worship, or you have an inclination to worship. It happens many times that we have an inclination or an attraction towards a particular deity or a devata, but we may not be actually worshipping her or him or the mantra of that particular deity, but the attraction is always there. And sometimes when you get initiated and then suddenly you realize, yes, I have felt attracted to this particular deity. And sometimes a person does it right from his or her childhood, just straight away worships the deity which is indicated by the fifth house. So what I'm going to discuss today is the whole aspect of mantra, the whole aspect of deities indicated by the fifth house, not deities indicated from Navamsha or any other divisions, but from the fifth house of the Rashi chart. Why is it important, and what is the connection with the mind, and what is the connection with one's intelligence and buddhi? There is a very subtle link, a very subtle connection between one's mind, dhi, that is intelligence, and the mantra that you worship, and the deities that whom you are inclined towards. So I would just focus on this aspect and try to bring out that linkage as best as I can. When we use the word dhi, we also use mana. Dhi does not only mean intelligence in the sense of acquiring of knowledge. I mean, knowledge is already mentioned, Vidya is written over there. But dhi also talks about a higher perceptive power, that sense of perception which you need, a judgment, in order to make certain moral judgments, to make judgments of what is right or wrong. So Sarvartha Chintamani, I mean Venkatesha Sharma in Sarvartha Chintamani, when he gives the definition of the fifth house, he writes that one of the attributes to be looked at from the fifth house is Viveka Shakti. Now Viveka means that power of discernment, that power of judgment, that clarity of mind, that which only Jupiter gives you. That is known as Dhi. Viveka Shakti. Shakti is the power. So it is not just mere knowledge or just mere intelligence which gives you a degree and makes you a brilliant engineer or a philosopher or a scientist, but that discerning power. So it also talks about wisdom and a very superior form of knowledge. When we talk of mana